and I'm going to broadcast. All right, aloha everyone. This is Lehua. I see we've got about 85 people logged in. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Just some quick housekeeping things for everyone. I know if you are on right now, you probably got the email from us and were able to register and get the information. A couple of you are texting me right now, so I'll try to get you all online as soon as I can also. If for some reason you did not get the email directly, or you have a specific address you want us to send you crew announcements on, or if you want to be part of the general PVS newsletter, if you could send that information to info@pvshawaii.org. We are actively trying to update all of our mailing lists and make sure that everyone's getting the information. If you know someone who is not here right now or didn't hear about it for some reason, and you can share that information with them, we are going to work to get everybody online as soon as we can. And I am going to hand this over in just a bit here to our high-tech Hawaiians, Nainoa and Bruce. And I guess just a quick mahalo for everyone for being patient over these last few weeks as we've gotten this together. We've tried to make sure we had something that we could share with as many of you as possible. I know we have many hundreds of volunteers and crew joining us from New Zealand and French Polynesia, Alaska and Virginia and Boston. So again, thank you for just holding on with us. We're really excited for this session, and I know you guys are gonna have a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for also the upcoming session. So without further ado, and sending this over to Nainoa and Bruce, I'm just gonna go ahead and bring them on for you. Nainoa, if you can start your video. Awesome. And then Bruce, if you can also start your video.
Okay. Click up.
Yep. Okay. All right, so you guys are on, and we have 99 of our crew and volunteers watching.
Holy smokes. Wow. Okay, so there's 99 people out there watching. I can't see any of them. It makes this kind of really creepy because I feel like I'm talking to myself. But thank you for all coming and joining us today. Yeah, aloha mai kako. And basically, today is just going to be the first of 18 scheduled virtual online crew training and VAA preparation classes. Today's high level. We're not going to go into details because the experts will be coming in the next 18 weeks to detail out what we need to do to essentially fulfill the mission of Malama Honua, and that is to sail. And with all the changes recently, it's made it challenging. And so we're looking at technology is to help us with moving forward with fundamentally preparing our canoes to go about 60 to 70,000 miles, and preparing a crew of 300 to be competent and to be safe. And so anyway, it's kind of cool to see we're launching today. It's May 1st, 2020, and I just want to, and you all know that this is the 44th anniversary of the departure out of Honolulu Bay, Maui, way back when, of Hokulea. And so real basically, we're going to try to keep this session fast because it's going to be talking heads, kind of boring stuff. And but it's just an overview, and then we're going to have a Q&A session where we can answer as many questions that you might have, and try to wrap this thing up by 5:30 at the latest. So the 18 classes are really focused on primarily the health and safety of our crew and their families. And it's also focused on the immediate need of preparation for and the care of our VA. And what's going to be cool is the next 3 sessions, if you have the time, I would tune in. And you might want to ask your family to come in, because it's going to be 3 sessions, so there'll be 2 hours each, 6 hours of health and safety. And and I'm not going to go into details. I'm not the expert, but you know that we have an amazing medical team behind the voyaging. I mean, many doctors, and so we asked 4 of them to come together and help us figure out, with the new changing world and the health issues, how are we still going to be able to complete all that we intend to do safely. And so it's going to be led by Dr. Ben Tamura, who's been with us for, I don't know, 25 years from Kaiser, and Dr. Marjorie Mao, who does a lot of work on Hawaiian health and Pacific Islander health. And so, and also we'll have 2 other doctors that will be coming on board. So it's going to be talking about COVID. It's going to be talking about its impact. It's going to be talking about impact of Pacific Islanders. It's going to be talking about the kind of new procedures we're going to have to take place to be able to execute things like relash Hokulea, or do the sea trials required, and then conduct voyages next year. So it's focused on the next 3, this upcoming Tuesday, next week Friday, and then the following Tuesday is dedicated to that 4 panelists. And I would say that that's really the important ones to come and learn from. And then we're going to go into leadership training, trying to meet the numbers of crew members that we're going to have to hit. And we've talked about this before. It's the captains, it's the watch captains, it's the safety officers, it's the medical officers, it's the rescue swimmers. It's at that leadership that we have to be solid. And then we'll be going into a lot of safety training, and Archie Kalepo will be leading that. And the safety training is really designed for us to say what are the requirements, and then how can crew members in isolation or in small groups still be able to do the proper training. So we're redesigning how our criteria, redesigning how to execute their criteria, plus the testing. We'll be touching on some of documentation and education during these 18 sessions. And we're going to be touching on the issue of this next 10-month focus on navigation, getting ready for the Tahiti trip next year. And so we launched today, 44 years ago, the same day that they left. And I do want to mention and thank Billy Richards, who did an interview with Sonia this morning at Hokulea to tell us what it was like in Honolulu Bay, Maui, 44 years ago, jumping on the canoe that was first built in 600 years and sailing back to the homeland in 600 years. So it's going to be part of a legacy series of us bringing in really amazing people, the Shorties, the Billies, the John Cruises, the Buffalo Kelranas, the Snake Eye Hees, the Harry Hoes. The list is very, very far long to make sure that we can capture and record yesterday as it helps us figure out how to navigate tomorrow. And at the same time, we're going to also launch a children's series focused primarily on navigation. And so it's going to teach children to ask parents and caregivers to take them out to a piece of grass someplace nearby their home and build a star compass out of stone. And then we will walk them through the magical spring and summertime. The springtime skies are the absolute most important time for voyaging Tahiti back right now. So we're going to be having them look to the heavens and find things like Hanayaka Malama or Okupa, or the powerful steering stars of Hokule and Hikianalia, the Eheonekeki, by building the star compass. But we're also going to start to talk about stories of the relearning of navigation through our teachers. Tough stories, 70s and 80s, when fear was very much at least a part of me, and how they helped us, take us by the hand like children and walk through the world. Because my feedback that I'm getting from teachers is a request that help children move forward with it, because there's a sense of paralysis. When I question, is it about fear? They say fear of the unknown and so forth. And so we just want to let them know from our home, from our place, from our experiences, from our teachers, that it's okay to be afraid, and learn how to manage and deal with that, and keep their sight and their vision. So it's looking back with our legacy crew. It's looking forward through the lens of the heavens and navigation through our children. And so anyway, so there's two other series linked to this one, and we're just learning how to do it. And I do want to thank Lehu and Sonia for kind of putting this together in 1 week. And but for your information, I'm not going to put it in detail because I don't want to float it out there in this community, because it may change for different reasons. But the general schedule, I'm going to do it by year, is 2020. Our whole schedule got destroyed. There's no voyage to Tahiti. There's no Festival of Pacific Arts. There's no Earth Day Summit in Tahiti. There's the largest island group, Pacific Island group, getting together in Rarotonga to go over climate change. That all evaporated. And so we're challenged with the organization to essentially collapse the programs of 2020 and put them into 2021, assuming that we're going to be able to get back and work in groups and sail in groups. So 2020 is really building. And one of the reasons it spawned on this virtual education piece is we got to get going. We can't wait. And we are asking you, this community, to take on an enormously high-pressured schedule and do things like get Hokulea and Hikianalia structurally ready to sail, not just to Tahiti next year, but all the way until May 1st, 2026. So that essentially means, and it's only going to be 8 months if we start today. And so it's tight. And then the crew training to get ready. We need 300 crew members. Leadership is key. We want to, we feel that we've tested and we trained at least half of that by March of 2021. So 150 crew members. So in 2021, so this building time goes from May 1st this year to December 31st this year. It's 8 months. And then we have 2 months to prepare the crew and the canoes to do a 6,000-mile voyage, to do what we were supposed to do last year, this year. I mean, this year, next year. So that's going to be a quick by our terms, trip to Tahiti in the month of March. So it'll be going down the road of Kealii Kahiki in the month of March and we're designing this for navigation training, navigation training, young training, and succession training. And the trip back is really a voyage from Tahiti in the month of April from Rangiroa to Hawaii. And it's chasing the magic, that very deep, very old, very human understanding of the relationship of humanity to the natural environment. So it's going back to Mao and to those stories and bringing it back as part of permission to go into circumnavigation of the Pacific, and also preparing our focuses. And the other thing is going to Tahiti and Tapu Tapotea. It is an essential act of respect, and so we're going to go. And then if everything goes well, and then the rest of the year, May 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, we're going to go to our children. We're going to go to Hawaii, our home. We're going to go to our families and our communities. We're going to go to 27 ports that are safe in the Hawaiian Islands. And we're working with partners to help develop voyaging curriculum that looks yesterday and looks tomorrow. We're looking at using place-based and project-based education that has values built in, that has service built into community. We're looking at creating a menu for teachers and classrooms and school districts to adopt values of Malama Honua or the values of their own that they want to do, to have a classroom participate in reconnection to all the things that we value, nature, to community, to families, and start to do service to protect what we care about. And so that way it's trying to help schools by giving them the tools to be able to exercise the time that young people are in schools, to make that experience be about building better communities. And so it's not changing education, it's supporting what already exists. And so that 2021, we are treating it as the beginning of the circumnavigation of the Pacific. And so it's the Tahiti permission, and it's the permission from our children, essentially. These are leg 1, 2, and 3. Down to Tahiti is 1, coming back is 2, and leg 3 is this 8-month tour of our communities. And this is going to be a lot of the heart of crew training will be there. So we'll sail on the weekends, we'll leave it in the community in 5 days, and we'll take it to the next community, and we'll take it to the next community. So much of that 150 will be trained so that by the time we get to December 31st, 2021, canoes, crews are structurally prepared. And then we have 2 months, January and February, to get ready to go to Tahiti. And then we come back, and the rest of that year when we come home will be dedicated to our children. 2022, January through the month of April will be preparation for the circumnavigation of the Pacific, which is long. It's longer than the worldwide voyage. It's 41,000 miles. It's 42 months. It's 46 countries and archipelagos. It's probably 100 indigenous territories. We're going to take it, we're getting pushed to take it underwater. What's under the keel? With Sylvia Earle and Jean-Michel Cousteau are saying, you got to go underwater. And I get it. So it's going to be a 5-year education tour and bringing what we're calling the third canoe. And that is building global partnerships that have contributions to Malama Honua values, and building this kind of invisible canoe that has a deck that can carry millions. It's our education programs, it's our and it's our values and our conversation piece, our storytelling platforms. And I would just kind of dump this in here, and it might sound crazy, but I think we want to recognize the fourth canoe, the one that was always there, the one that is the most extraordinarily engineered and designed of all time. And it's the one that rotates at 1,000 miles an hour, and it would go on a voyage around the sun. It'll be 1.4 million miles from here tomorrow at the same time on its voyage around the sun. It's going 1,000,000 miles an hour away from the galactic center. You don't need seat belts. You can go outside, stand in sunlight, and don't die. You can breathe. Then you can be there, and you're not going to be killed by solar radiation. You're not going to be killed by solar storms because you have magnetism. You have a moon big enough that can pull enough inertia to help, and we spin quick enough to have enough rotation to have global circulation of oceans. We're close enough to the sun because if we're too close, oceans evaporate. If we're too far away, they freeze. And the list is super long about how this honua actually got engineered. And it's extraordinary. It's infinitely complex, but it allowed for us to live the lives we have and allow our children to live them too. But it's fragile. We're changing it, and it needs to be protected. This is why, and I want to just make a note here. We at PVS are very sensitive to as best as we can, be connected to what is communities, what are children, what are families really thinking about today at this moment. And much of the response we're getting at is just, dealing with survival, dealing with being locked in your house, dealing with unemployment, dealing with an uncertain future. So the voyage around the Hawaiian Islands, to me, is the most important voyage. And until we have that permission that young people in schools understand why are we going and when are we going, and they understand that they can be a part of it, we're not going to go. Because we don't want to be disrespectful or insensitive to the needs of our communities by leaving them and feeling that the canoes that they need are gone. So that connectivity, those relationships. So what I'm essentially saying that, and that's why I don't want to make it public, that date to leave on May 2022 is much to do. But besides that, we need to listen to our communities to make sure that they're ready for us to leave, and that the voyage for them is going to be valued and meaningful, and that we're connected. So anyway, that's just like an eye blink of all the stuff we're doing. And I asked Bruce to be a part of kind of all the 18. I know he cannot, but all I want to do is make sure that it's very, very clear that Bruce is the key guy. He's the leader. He's the one that's going to be ultimately in charge of crews, ultimately in charge of canoes, ultimately. And we have a whole cadre of support systems underneath him. And then you need to pull out, Bob Perkins, and make sure that we acknowledge all the work that he's doing, and many others of you that, the Tomikos and the Kellys, and I don't want to start going down that list because it's really super long, and I don't want to leave people out. But the leadership is really shared between myself and Bruce, and so that's why I asked him to come on to this. Whatever it's called, is this FaceTime or is it webinar or whatever it is. But by the way, he just got his Zoom to work like about 5 seconds before 4 o'clock today. So congratulations. And so what I thought we'd do is just go through those 18 sessions that Lehua, can you put those things up or what? And then we'll just briefly, this is brief, and it's just an overview. And then the sessions get really awesome starting next week, Tuesday. And we'll just go through them, and me and Bruce can just kind of talk story about that, the next 18 weeks. Anyway, I'm gonna turn it over to Bruce if he wants to just have any kind of introductory comments or to everyone.
Okay, thanks, Nainoa. Hey, aloha, you guys. Gosh, I don't know. I think this is a great opportunity given the situation that everybody's having to deal with. But I'm glad we're doing this with the training. It gives us time to go through processes over and over again to learn things that to a lot of us might be overwhelming, like learning about the canoe and all its parts, because it's put together like a big puzzle, how it functions, and all the safety procedures that are together in a nice little package on the portal. So the wonderful thing is that we have a crew manual that teaches a lot of this. We have some study guides, and we have a safety manual also. So for those of you or those of us that aren't real familiar with it, is giving us, we can start the process. As far as the training goes, I think, you know, we never really ever have enough time for everything. It's just the nature of it all. So I'm glad we're doing this. Thank you folks for joining us. This is kind of incredible. I'm looking here that we have 115 participants in this group. So that's amazing in itself. And the reason it's so important to take the time to go over this material continually so we know it very well is that, you know, with Hokulea and PVS, safety is the #1 priority. That's how we went around the world, you know, in a 3-year process, you know, tens of thousands of miles, with over 300 people, and everyone came home safe. And that's, with all those working parts and so many unknowns along the way, that is not a small feat. But it was just, you know, PVS is a commitment to learning, to safety, and not rushing into things. So, yeah, welcome aboard. I think this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it all. And there's a lot to do, but we'll just take it one part, you know, we'll take it bit by bit. That's good, Nainoa. Can't hear you now. Do I, wait, hang on. Do I press this thing or what?
You're good, Bruce. Sorry.
Okay. I don't want to be pressing anything and lose it all.
Okay. Do we have, Leo, can everybody see the schedule, that the 18 stuff?
They sure can. Do you want me to do a quick time check on Q&A, or do you want to let people know when that is?
Yeah, when we get to the schedule, we'll go to Q&A.
Oh, okay. I'm about to share it right now.
Okay, I'm assuming you guys can see the schedule. So I'm just gonna keep talking to myself, assuming that you can see it. So today's the introduction, that's what we're going through. Next week, Tuesday, May 5th, Friday, May 8th, and Tuesday, May 12th, it's all dedicated to health and safety. And we have our medical team there, we have our safety officer with Archie, to be looking at the kinds of changes we need to make, because we assume that the world's changed and how we're going to get to accomplish the things we need to do differently. So it's going to begin with this attempt to understand COVID from doctors who are in the front lines, the day-to-day, and seeing it. And again, we cannot protect our crew members if we don't understand the disease. So that's part of it. And then part of it's going to be and looking at impact to communities around the world. And I would say, if you just, everybody I'm sure is taking a look at it, but in relative terms, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the families that have been hurt by this, you know, but in terms of just medical statistics, Hawaii is like maybe considered the best state. And so we're doing relatively well. New York's not. And I do think that what's really interesting about next week, you're going to see how varied the impact of this virus is in different communities. Not even just different states, different communities in different countries. And so it's pretty fascinating. And then we're going to end up about how are we going to be able to adjust how we're going to get our needed work done. So we know what needs to get done. We're trying to figure out how we're going to do that. And two things about this, and I'll turn back over to Bruce, because he is going to be in charge of all of this. And so we are going to comply to state and city law. We're going to comply to the policies of the university and HCC. We are targeting a date to get back into groups, get these canoes out of the water. I'm not going to share the date yet, but given that we don't know, the unknown is we don't know what the restrictions are going to be, we still need to figure out a way in which we can accomplish the work and keep our crews and their families safe. And so in the next 3 sessions, there is a protocol that's going to be put into place medically that says we can accomplish the lashings, we can accomplish the getting Hikianolia's power systems to work, we can accomplish the sea trials, we can accomplish a voyage, and there'll be this whole new plan. A whole plan is designed from the medical officers at PVS and designed by the safety officers to go in and take to the state, if we need to, state and city and UH and other officials say, this is essential work. These COVID-19 is not going to stop voyaging. And we have a plan, and we want to talk to them in a transparent way so that they know that this has been well thought out. It's been designed and engineered for safety and health, and we have a deadline. I will say that if we can't get to work pretty quick, we're not going to meet the deadline for next year. And so anyway, I just want to make sure that we're going to comply, but we're also going to be transparent and talk to governmental and leadership officials to really understand that we have a solid program. And so you'll be able to see what our health and safety officers have to say in the next 3 sessions, and you'll have a chance to talk to them too. The invitation really should be for more than just the crew members or volunteers. It should be also to families coming in, and because no matter what, voyaging is about an exercise in community and families. So I'll just turn that over to Bruce if he wants a comment on the health and safety issues, just high level, brief kind of stuff, because it's going to get detailed in the sessions.
Okay, thanks, Nainoa. Yeah, like I said earlier, all the voyages over the years, over the 44 years, we've gotten better and better in training on that, and the health and safety is always at the forefront. So that's a good thing to train. The wonderful thing is, like Nainoa says, we have a really good team. So we're all going to learn a lot, and I don't know. I guess it's a good start. So I'm looking forward to it. Gosh, it's needed. There's so much crazy misinformation going on, and uncertainties going on at this time. So yeah, I hope that, and I think it will. I start getting us on track, and oh man, especially as a group. I don't know. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. You know, this is a whole new thing, and so it's I don't know. I don't really totally know how to approach it, except do our best at it. But I think by doing our best, we'll do well. We'll do good. Okay, no, I don't know.
Okay, Bruce, that's great. Thank you. And the next 3 sessions, May 15th, May 19th, May 22nd, is focus on Va'a preparation. And again, we're not going to go into detail about that tonight. We need to get the excuse me, the plan from the health and safety guys. And do know we've been talking about it a lot, but I don't want to even begin to start to suggest what it's going to look like. They need to do that. Basically, they're trying to create the voyaging blueprint to be able to have us understand how do we normalize this virus, and how do we learn how to live with it in a healthy way. And so, and then we're hoping that that's going to be something that would be maybe important for other communities as we all emerge. So Va'a preparation, I'll just go real brief. I'll turn it over to Bruce again. Is just really super brief. Hokulea, we have this mammoth task. So in the next 8 months, all the structural issues of Hokulea and Hikeanalia need to be completed, because we won't have time after that. So that essentially, to boil it down to the big challenges, Hokulea has got to be relashed. And we're talking about raising and widening the hulls, the decking, and get more space in the tunnel between the hulls. So we're working on the details, but Hokulea basically is going to get mapped out into detail, and we're going to start handing people jobs. Take this donut home and varnish it. But I don't want to get into too deep. It might be small groups, but it clearly is going to be having to have someone like Bruce on the oversight side, and having younger leadership come inside and start to, there's a reason for that. And I'll talk about it later. Remember that word, younger leadership. Come inside and actually do the work, and we'll be taking home stuff. We'll be maybe working in groups of 2s. I don't know yet. The safety plan and the health plan will define that. Hikeanalia's 2 big issues really are is power and electronics. To be able to handle what we're going to need to do with documentation and education, safety, escorting, the medical platform, the science platform, all that kind of stuff. So we have 8 months to get that stuff ready. And then I'm going to turn this whole thing back to Bruce. So it's really May 15th, May 19th, and May 22nd for any comments.
Okay. So as you folks can imagine, it's going to be a big job. We have 1 Va'a is a big job enough. We have 2 Va'a. We have some good help. we got to get very organized. We have some good help. Taking it apart and then putting back, a few miles of lashing back on is going to be a commitment. So, this voyage, like when I say, we're never going to have enough time, all of this stuff starts like right now, the commitment to it. If it's just a good idea and it's a learning opportunity and, you check it out, I mean, that's all good. We always appreciative of any help that we get to Aloha the Canoe and the voyage, because in the end, everything we do is a gift for the larger community. It's not just our wonderful sailing experience or whatever. We're creating something that gives back to the younger generation, the community at large. It's a process to expand, our thinking about things and dealing with the pressures and issues of today. But it's going to be a good job. This idea about people taking things home and working on it, that is really an ideal scene. But anyway, that's a detail thing that we'll get on down the line.
Right.
Just know that it's a big job and it's a big commitment. Nainoa and I are, and many of us are committed to see it through. And we do push hard. I mean, we have an aggressive schedule coming up to get these two ready for next year. So we will be pushing hard, and it's just a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun to do something that's out of the ordinary. And we're trying to just make a game of it, to just do it at a very high standard and do it in a timely manner, as timely a manner as we can, and time frame, but not spare quality. It really is about quality, and that's why Hokulea was relashed, and we took her all apart in 2010. We did all the work and got through all of the rot and all that stuff. We had a really good team. We got her back in the water on her birthday, March 8th, 2012. And, the lashings have been good since 2012. So that's 8 years ago. And we wasn't really sure if it would have, how long it was going to last, but they're still solid. They could still handle a lot more as far as I'm concerned, but it's time to relash her and get her ready for the next long journey. So that's where we're at. And a lot of the woodworking and like I said, it is going to be a fun learning experience that you're never going to forget. So hope you're all aboard for that. Okay, no.
Thanks, Bruce. Okay, so speeding things up. May 26th, Tuesday, where am I? Captain, so session number 8 through 17 is all about crew training. And so I'm not going to go into detail about all these things, but you guys know what it is. And so, and we're working on how do we get effective training virtually. And so much of it's going to be information, much of it's going to be instructions, much of it's going to require crew members to train on their own. There's captain's training, watch captain training, water safety officer, rescue swimmer, there's general crew training, then there's a specialist training, I mean, cooks and fishermen and all that kind of stuff. And then we're putting in escort training. We have a good team to teach that sessions. Then documentation and education navigation. Instead of going through all these things and take forever, I just want to focus on one of them. That is the captain's training. I'm going to share that there's going to be like groupings of when we look directly at COVID-19, we're gonna look at health from the perspective of risk. So we know that there are those individuals generally are more at risk. Those have lower immune systems, those that are over the age of 65, those that have chronic health diseases that coronavirus attacks. And and the reason why the medical team is considering this is to reduce risk. And so what it does though, so what we're looking at is categorizing a part of crew training based on health risk. The categories are really right now, and this is just, it's much more complicated than this, but in my head, what little I know, it's in two areas: age, and then just your general health issues. For instance, if you're 25 years old, you've never had surgery, you have no chronic health disease, your immune system's solid, you're in a really good category. But if you're 85 years old and you've had 5 heart attacks and you smoke cigarettes, you're in a really bad category. And so, so one of the reasons why I'm raising it now is so that everybody understands from the leadership side the importance of succession leadership. So you might see a dry dock be designed by having people screened, that we would have their medical evaluations and saying, okay, ABC, you 10 are young and you're really healthy, you are at a lower risk of something going really bad with a disease like COVID-19. You can be at a higher capacity to work in teams. And so one is to protect. So but you have this other group, the senior group, that's in that age category that's considered higher risk, quite a bit higher risk by age. So that the transformation of senior guys are going to be more onto the mentoring and the supporting. So what is this going to look like on the voyage? What it's going to look like on the voyage is a handoff to young people to take these canoes, and we're gonna do it in a way that we're gonna ask young people to step up, and then I want them to ask us for us to be honest, to make sure that we step back, and that we give them that space and that capacity and the responsibility and the kuleana. And sometimes only thing that's missing in some of the young, I mean, we have some amazing young people, is that they haven't been in the storms enough. So some of the more dangerous trips, they may be captained and navigated by senior guys. Let me just tell you, South China Sea will be statistically the most dangerous voyage Hokulea Hikianea will ever go on, by far. And statistically, I'm not sending young people out there to get run over and the ships don't stop, they just keep going. And don't tell me they don't happen. We know they happen. And so the leadership is designed to take away the high risk and have the most experience lead it. Leadership may be in the deep, colder, broader, lower current water of the Pacific, the best training ground for deep ocean leadership. We may be having what Archie and Kimo and Timmy did for the San Francisco trip. You bring them on board, take away fire, take away man overboard. Don't hope it doesn't happen. And it didn't, but allow young people that experience of command. It may be pushing some of the young people that we know are ready to go and get them in the finalized training. Just take the canoes with no senior people on board. But the goal is, so we're going to break them into age groups, and the age groups that we're looking at is the youngest group is from 16 to 20 years old. There's that 5-year group. We have 7 names. So remember, we're trying to get, the crew training is going to require us to achieve 20 teams, 10 for Hoku, 10 for Hiki. The crew members are interchangeable. They can go back across, but we're going to do it through teams. That means if there's 20 teams, that we want each one of these teams to sail once a year for 3.5 years. That's the theory. And so that you're going to give away 5 weeks of your time per year to participate on one team for one leg per year. So it requires 10 Hokulea teams, 10 Hikanlia teams, 5 weeks times 10 is 50. There's only 52 weeks in a year. But that means if we're having crew plus alternates, we're looking at those 2 canoes having a total of 30 people times 10, that's 300. That's how we come up with that number of 300 crew members. And so when we focus on captains, we're in the end, everything ends up there. If you're successful, awesome. If you weren't, it's your fault. And so we're breaking up it into age groups, 16 to 20, we have 7 individuals. 21 years to 35 years, we have 23. And that is the core focused priority groups in succession. It's 16 to 35 as of today. And that is, that equals 30 candidates for 20 slots. So there was a question asked on the, I don't know, it was whatever it was, about do we have enough to get 20 captains? The answer is absolutely yes. Are they all trained yet? No. And so 36 to 50 is a very interesting group because you have high talent in there that have not had command experience. There's a number of them that have been here for 25 years and never fully commanded. So it's a very interesting group between 36 and 50. We have 10 crew members there, and we want to give some of them some opportunity. They're kind of called like the lost generation. Somehow they got lost. We're bringing them back. But then you have, like on the senior group, it's like 51 to 60. We have 8 candidates. 61 plus, that's years, we have 7. So those 15, between 51 and who knows how old. I mean, back in the 80s, we cut off crew at 55. You're too old, yikes. And so we've been breaking the rules ever since. But what we're doing is trying to say that 51 to 61 plus group, those 15, are really, their role is more vital now than it's ever been. It's allowing for succession to step forward and making sure that they're prepared to not make the big mistake out there. And, you know, there's a gazillion mistakes we make all the time, but don't make the big one. And so all I'm saying is that everybody be prepared that we're categorizing. The priority group is 16 to 35. 36 to 50 group is a really valued group that needs to have opportunity. And 51 plus, generally, this is generally. I'll take Archie. Archie is, I'm not going to say his age, but he's in the 51 to 60. But he's an extraordinary, I mean, he's strong enough to do anything. So he's physically enough to do anything. So he can captain down. He can drop down into the 1635 group, or he can step up into the senior group and be a mentor like it was on San Francisco. So that's why I'm saying that 51 to 60 is an important group that can go both sides. So anyway, just not warning you, I'm informing you, we're going to do this because it's going to impact dry dock. I know that the doctors are going to come up with a color code, and like I'm like really bright red near purple with my lung and everything else. So I'm 100 years old, so I'm in the red category. I get it, you know, but those categories are really based. I'm going to go back to the beginning. It's based on mitigating risk. It's reducing risk. It's doing it smart, and we're going to do it by the numbers. And that there's going to be testing. There's going to be evaluations. There's going to be retesting. There's probably going to be quarantine before your voyage, and all these kinds of things are being considered, going to be put in place. I'm talking in front of our medical guys. All I'm saying is that medical stuff that is being put together is going to impact everything. Dry dock, testing, voyages. And so, but on my side, honestly, I think it's a huge opportunity to push up the young, because essentially medically they're of lower risk. And so we're working, going down that road, and nobody's retired. They're just, Kuleana has been shifted, and those things are in place. And I'll turn it back over to Bruce to go through whatever you want to talk about in terms of this, from number 8 to number 17 classes on crew training.
Thanks, Nainoa. Just regarding this, the leadership training, the specialist training, and the captain's training, again, there's no better place to start than voyaging prep and dry dock, because knowing every inch of that canoe and every part of that puzzle as we put it back together, and its purpose and how it functions, is a key to taking command of the boat and taking ownership. I mean, all this stuff with the captain's training and the specialist training is all about taking ownership for those positions, and that you're going to ultimately step into the responsibility to Kuleana for. So that's the way I've always looked at it. They become their own separate quest, if you will, but everything is interconnected, because in the end, it's that collective. The captain's only as good as his crew knows their stuff and it gets trained really well. So, we have, again, like Nainoa said earlier, this training opportunity. It's always been about us anyway, being on our own and practicing one of our key values, which is imi ike. And imi ike means to seek knowledge. It means to go after something. So it's very simple. I mean, anything that any of us know very well with certainty, it's because we took the time. We took the time to, look at it from all angles, think about it, try things out. When things didn't work, we moved on to other things. I mean, it was just seeking knowledge through that process. That is how it was going to be a key thing from here on in. So, the captain's training and the leadership training, what an opportunity, because you can be a specialist. You can hold like 3 or 4 different hats or positions as a specialist. And the next time around, next voyage, you can also have an opportunity to learn another, a few more hats. So, and ultimately, when you think about captain's training and leadership training, it's pretty much knowing all those hats, as well as knowing your VA and knowing your seamanship skills and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really neat, the way Nainoa and Lehua put this together with the age brackets, it's really neat. It's old school, it's old world, it's workable, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, Nainoa.
Okay, Bruce, thank you. So that's basically a high-level overview of the next 18 weeks. And so wanted to, one point, I want to thank Bob and his group that's putting together online education programs that will be hopefully integrated. It'll be integrated into these categories, primarily right now with the VA preparation. So we're going to build on that, plus the legacy series. I want to thank Billy Richards for having that almost sacred conversation about what it was like in Honolulu Bay. Maui 44 years ago, and the children's series. We're getting a lot of requests to talk to young people, and so we're just trying to meet the request. So that's all going to be a part of this larger virtual education stuff. And do know that we're just kind of trying to figure it all out. And yeah, it's just a little bit uncomfortable talking to yourself. So maybe we can just turn it over to question and answers for the next half an hour.
Yeah, we can do that. I guess to echo some of the things before we lose anybody, in case you don't have questions. You did want to open up the next few sessions that are related to health and safety to family and friends. So if you know someone who wants to take part in those sessions and maybe they're not joining from your same computer, phone, or browser, you can also have them email us and we can send them a unique invitation so that they can register and be part of it as well, wherever they may be calling in from. I'm just going to share it on the screen again, and I will probably send it out in the post Zoom email as well, so that they can hop on. And then if we have so many people that we need to expand the Zoom, we will do that as well. Let's see. And so yeah, Q&A, if you guys are familiar with Zoom or not, there is a little Q&A section on the bottom where you can type in a question for the panel. And if you have more questions and we can answer in the next few minutes, then we will just save those and try to answer them offline and put them in a place where you can access them, or maybe even address them in future webinars. So yes.
And can I jump in just one question? Just do know that COVID-19 had pretty large impact on the administration and operations at PVS, more than just reducing programs. But so, you know, we're okay, but we're thin. And so I'm just trying to make sure that we don't set up expectations. We had a town hall thing a week ago, and I mean, there were so many questions, we just couldn't answer them all with the resources we have. So we'll try to answer whatever questions you have, or we're going to move them into the appropriate sessions that they could be addressed. If you have a health question, instead of us trying to answer it, we'll put it into the session number 2, 3, or 4, something like that. And so we just want to make sure that we're not being disrespectful if you don't get a response to a question real quick. And I just want to say, Novi and Katie Coleman, aloha. I know it's 11:30, 6 time zones away. Thanks for joining us before you guys go to bed. Anyway, so why don't we start the question and answers?
Okay, and then Sonia, I'm going to let you also hop in if you see any questions that you want to see answered. I see some of you are answering them in the chat. I'll hop back and forth. Maybe I'll even start there. Kalepa would like to know, is there a crew portal where we can access documents like the schedule and the manual?
No, only kidding, only kidding. Well, Lego, what? I don't know. What's a portal?
Yes, there have been many portals over the past many years. I know we had one from long ago in the early days of the Worldwide Voyage. We've since revised it a few times. I think if I've worked with you directly on crew training in the last, I don't know when, you might have seen a couple different versions. And right now we are working on putting another one together with some of Nainoa and Bruce's input on what kind of things they want to see there. And then also probably where we will post the recordings of these for folks who missed it or who need to review or want to look back at some of the sessions that we've done. And I will work with Sonia on that and either send that out in the response to this one or post it somewhere in the registration and contact you through the email that you registered with. Yeah.
But thanks for calling in and thanks for the question. The answer is yes. So thanks for being a part of this.
Okay, hi Jenny. Jenny is over in Boston, and she is currently, sorry Jenny, I'm sharing your question, recovering from COVID-19. So she wanted to reach out and talk story with you about her experience, and maybe that can be something for that we talk about leading into next week's health sessions with the medical team.
Can you introduce Jenny to the group, Nainoa?
Hi, Jenny. I'm going to do a very bad job at not quite describing how awesome you are. Jenny Chow works at the MIT Media Lab and knows everything about plankton. She's been down here to do our crew training earlier in the spring. Some of you sailed with us, and they are up in Boston right now, I believe, under shelter in place, and has been really helpful at guiding us through thinking through some of the ways we're going to engage community with our culture and science initiatives. So hi Jenny, I tried to introduce you to the rest of the team, and yes, would love to talk to you about kind of how your experience has been so far with this. And I know Nainoa will as well.
Does she have the antibodies?
I don't know. We'll find out. I hope you're feeling better, Jenny. I know it's been a long 6 weeks.
Oh, Jen, I didn't know that. Thanks, Jenny.
And I'm going to contact you ASAP. Sorry, I'm just going to go down the line here. Ben Dumoran would like to know, are we going to train in processes to operate the new motors and electrical systems?
Yes. It's just the how. And so, Ben, I think, and thanks for calling, I think the answer absolutely is yes. You know, we're not going to stop voyaging, guys. We're going to go. We're going to be just a lot smarter from all of this. And how we're going to do it, I think, answered much best, at least from my opinion, when we get through bridging the medical and health issues with the operation issues. And so and do know, Ben, that we behind the scenes are working on a plan to make public officials understand that we're really, really serious about this. And I mean, in my opinion, those of you that donate your time to work on these canoes are sacred, so it's essential work. And so we need to have our time. And so the answer is yes. I don't know the how yet. It is that bridge between, again, this health and safety side with the operations side. And I'll turn the question over to Bruce.
Yeah, how's it been? Absolutely, we're going to train, but I think we're starting in the right direction by doing all this health and wellness stuff, and we got to get through that. Yeah, we got to put that horse before the cart, and we got to get through that. But ultimately, yes, we got to once we kind of tackle that and we figure out that next step to actually start getting together in groups to tackle some bigger tasks where you need the groups, then that's going to be the next big step after all of that, the health and wellness and the direction from our medical gang. So anyway, there's that.
Okay, I'm just typing short answers for now, but I will also save and pull all these questions later. Bob Perkins says he lost his audio. Adios. Max Lee, when as soon as we can hope to begin dry dock work? I know we said we don't really know earlier, Nainoa, but I don't know if there's any better answer to that question yet until we.
Yeah, I mean, here's my answer, but ultimately we don't know, but we are, Bruce and I have set a date to start um, in our heads, because with uncertainty you can't wait. You can't just keep waiting until permission comes from who knows who. And so we have plan A, B, C, D, F, G, and but we have a date where we want to actually haul these canoes out. And I'm not going to make it public today because out of respect to the Health and Safety Committee, as well as the governmental and leadership guys that got to make decisions for the whole community. And we are very sensitive to jumping out and just doing what we believe we need to do, defining that these canoes are sacred and this is essential work, and just running off on our own to what we don't want to do is have this community to look back at PVS and say, whoa, what gives you the right to break all those rules? So our process is designing a plan that is going to say that we got to get the work done in this time schedule. We've got 8 months, and then know that if this gets pushed back too far, it collapses another year. So what it will do is it'll push the voyage back another year, and we don't want to do that. And so the answer to that question is, again, it's really rafting off the what comes out from the health and safety group that will design new protocols that impact how we do dried up, how do we do sea trials, how do we do voyaging. So we know what we got to do. The question is how to do it. So the answer will come from that safety group, health and safety group, and then our conversations with the leadership in Hawaii. And everybody has their own opinion about leadership in Hawaii, but I mean the medical statistics show that Jenny, it's the first time I heard, has had COVID-19 because, frankly, Boston is getting hammered, and so for whatever the issues were, a place that brings 10 million people in from around all the world, that has no non-flu season, and now it's gonna be no COVID-19 season because we have people coming from different hemispheres, different parts of the world, 10 million of them, and I'm just grateful that the trauma, at least the medical trauma, has been relatively minimal in Hawaii. I want to respect that, but also I want everybody to respect the fact that we've got work to do, and we got to figure out how to do it. And so we are working on a plan and a date, but I don't want to make it public today. Bruce, any thoughts?
No, that's good.
Okay, I'm just, again, going right down the line. Dennis Chun, besides online, how do we involve Outer Island crew and potential crew? Over to you.
Yeah, that question's always been a challenge, and it's more challenging now because right now, I don't know. I was told I can't fly to Kauai, or it's just more difficult. And so, Dennis, that's a really, 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 really good question, and I don't have a good answer. And I'm gonna throw it back to the Health and Safety Committee. And I think that's a good question because we haven't actually asked that yet. So my assumption is, now that you raised it, we have the question, we got to be responsible for it. And I think we get it to, the thinking that's coming out of this Health and Safety Committee is just, it's world class. It's very inspiring, very caring. And we're very lucky we have a team of 30 doctors, and we have a team of 4 that are going to represent that whole amazing group of individuals that we don't go without them. So, Dennis, I think the best thing to do is, thanks for the question. We'll put it on the agenda, and we'll ask the health and safety guys to address that in the next 3 sessions. Because I'm not trying to hide from the question, but I'm not the one that should answer it.
Okay, Michael Wilson asks, when Nainoa said we are going underwater, does that mean we should think about being scuba certified?
It's going to help your resume, Michael. Go for it. Yep, I think we got some really cool partners that want to get the world underwater. We got cool partners that say that Hokulea needs to be a teacher for the whole earth. And we got cool partners that are just bugging us to say, you got to get underneath the keel. And so we have, we're a tiny organization, tiny staff, big volunteerism. To do what we want to do with the third canoe to impact the fourth canoe, the earth, you're going to need massive partners, and it's a piece we haven't even talked about today, but maybe we could raise it later. It's the partners, yeah. So to answer your question, Mike, it's through the capacity of these partners that we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff underwater. Because do know that when we assess what outside of Hawaii does a global community value, one of the issues it's raising to the top of the list is the oceans. And do know that it was very recent in less than the last decade that the United Nations responsibility for climate change and the health of the earth didn't even have the oceans on the agenda. And so this is not a green planet, it's a blue one. And I think that there are, one of the core reasons why there's so much interest in Hokulea as an educational platform is because of the focus is now people are, the ocean is now an issue of attention. The ocean now is an issue of awareness. The ocean now, that the world is starting to understand it. And boy, in my opinion, the oceans is the greatest environmental challenge for this century, to protect it. And you can't do that if you don't understand it. So we have really awesome people. I can invoke their names, but I prefer not to. Jean-Michel Cousteau, sorry, I'm invoking it, and others, Sylvia Earle and others. His father and his family and the Calypso was one of only 2 things that would make me come home before the sun when I was a kid, and it changed my life. And so I sense from him, and he's a great friend, and he's a great leader. This year he's celebrating his 75th year from the first time he scuba dived, when his father, who designed it, the scuba tank, or at least a single stage, threw it on his back and dumped him overboard in a boat with no training when he was 7. And so to have that legacy jump onto Hokulea's legacy and be a part of it is really crucial. But we can't be honest to Jean-Michel about joining this voyage unless we help fulfill what he dreams about and taking the world underwater. So, Mike, long answer, because it's a big question. Help your resume, it'd be awesome, and let's go. Let's go.
No, can I chime in on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike. It'll be good to get that training because we are ocean. There's going to be so much going on. And let me just say this: part of the safety procedures, because Hikanalia now has these new motors and new propellers, is the ability to address and deal with foul propellers through ropes, marine debris, whatever, you name it. It's something that has a pretty great chance of happening. So we will be having gear on board, scuba gear, so people can work underwater and get things done. That's just one of the next step kind of things on the safety for Hikanalia that we kind of see. But anyway, I just wanted to add that as a reality of something that's coming up. Okay.
Mahalo. Okay, Lehua, your moderator, is here again. If you have a health, safety, medical, COVID-19 related question, I'm going to pull those together for our medical team to address next week, because they're going to be probably better prepared for doing that then. If any of you are not familiar, we have a very large, amazing team of really well-respected, experienced medical officers that work in a lot of different medical fields who sail with us on our voyages and help us develop the kind of protocols, practices, supplies, everything that goes into keeping our crews and also the communities we visit safe and healthy. So they've got a great lineup. I'm super excited for next week. But if you, so if it doesn't get answered here, I'm going to be saving it and maybe sending it along ahead to them. But continuing, just as a heads up, Nainoa and Bruce, we have about 15 more questions in here. So they're good. They're nice long questions. Jonathan Fisk asked, are we trying to research on these upcoming voyages? And if so, is there something more scientific, research inclined folks can do to help plan and prepare for that?
Absolutely, yes. And so, again, I mean, that's essentially what we're trying to do today, right, is to keep the essential requirements of success of Malama Honua, Moana Nui Akea, make it worth it, and having that kind of data, the good data, the data that matters, is essential so that we are informed properly. You know, Jonathan, what we got to do is and then we're going to have to, that kind of question you raise is something that is just we're going to have to ask and delegate it out to you and others to help us make that happen, because we're so thin right now. And it's something that has to happen, but it's high level of expertise. It sounds like we need to have, and I hate to organize it this way, but a hui of people, a committee that can take a look at that question to strengthen the ability for us to fulfill the mission. So, you know what, I'll ask Sonia and Lehua to get your contacts, and I will give you a call and get your thoughts offline about how can we build. We have a good medical team. We want a good science team. We need a good research team. We need people to really help us with, what is the modern day territorial lines of Indigenous people, so that we are going to a place informed and respectful. So I think your question is, it points at the heart of the massive amount of work, and it's going to have to be shared. So I'll get back to you as long as you get the contact information to Lehua and to Sonia. Thank you.
Hey, John, we definitely have your contact info. Yes. And just to add to that, yeah, definitely on our side, just kind of setting up a process so that we make sure everyone who's participating in the research, has a coordinated place to bring it together and really incorporate it into the plan. I know in the past we've struggled with trying to keep together some organization around that, make sure we're not having people doing double duty and stuff like that, but we definitely need it. And we had a very large team that pulled together planning for last voyage in the worldwide voyage, and we're, I think, in the process of setting up just how to do that and make sure we can really put that all together in an organized fashion. But yes, we definitely will need the help. Okay, maybe even leading off of that question, because I have Barbara, I can't say your name. Barbara Blake and Liz Medicine Pro in my phone right now, and definitely want to reach out and talk to you folks about Alaska. So we will definitely set up some time to talk story, as that is really one of the first big stops along the way. But I just want to throw that out there from my message board here. I'm trying to read all the questions coming from all the different angles. But yeah.
Barbara, thanks for being a part. I mean, all we want to do is honor you. You're a massive country of Alaska with 22 different languages and cultures, and an amazing diversity, a country to itself. And in the relationship, that's why we want to go to you first, because of 29 years and 30 years of relationship with you folks, and is to make sure that we connect to the Arctic. That ocean is a part of the giant, amazing circulation system of one ocean on Earth and one people, and so we're very excited about coming there first to pay respect to all of you and what you've done for Hawaii. So thank you for joining today.
Okay, sorry, I'm typing as fast as I can. Oh boy, so many. In the context of the schedule, from Larry Newman, in the context of the schedule, is leadership thinking about quote unquote discipline tracks, or is it encouraged for everyone to attend every session? Some tracks like safety for everyone, but cooking perhaps not, for example. Do you have any recommendations on that sort of thing? And it sounds like that question is to sort of specialist roles. Should everyone plan to be a part of all the training, or focus in on specific areas?
Well, and ideally, we offer this to, and this whatever you call it, portal or whatever, is really designed to be respectful and inclusive and open. So we know that nobody's going to be able to watch all of these, and so we know that and we want to respect the value of volunteerism. Otherwise, we wouldn't sail anywhere. So it's a matter of time. I think what we're not going to be able to do is to take every single crew member and say, okay, you're going to be a cook, you're going to be a fisherman. So we're not going to be able to get to that kind of detail. So I would think that these next 3 sessions are really important. These health and safety, that's core. And then I think the crew training, the canoe stuff, if you can, to better just understand the planning for primarily the 2 big canoes would be important. And then the general crew training, I think, is important because the leadership side, people are going to actually be selected to that. The captains, the watch captains, the water safety officers, the medical doctors. But the general crew training, I think, would be good to try to pay some attention to, because that's where a lot of criteria is going to come out about what the expectations. So when you look in this website stuff, it says you got to run the mile in 15 minutes. I mean, that's not asking a lot. You got to swim the mile in an hour and a half. That's not asking a lot. But those are tests, and the tests are really criteria expectations. So I would put some, if you can, that would be the other kind of priority. Bruce, what do you think?
Well, there's the priority ones. I think if I'm reading it, getting your question right, Larry, the priority ones, like I know I talked about the safety and all that stuff that we got to get out of the way. But the specialist ones, I mean, it really is up to you. You know what area I think that you'd like to do. If you don't want to be a cook, then it's something that you can probably miss. But it's good to know all of the areas as much as we can. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. So if we got to pick and choose, I guess it would be the areas that you feel confident that you know the skill sets are is right for you. And but if I'm reading it right, that's what I'm getting. So anyway, okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Sorry. Next one is from Abigail Speck. Is the teacher info from the beginning go along with the online education series? And does that go with the future voyage plan? I am.
Okay. I think that's a complicated question, and I think that would be good because I don't know. Education is our main priority in terms of programs. It's really complex. It would be better to answer that question with a separate phone call. So if you, again, can we get your information and I'll call you, and then we'll talk this through, and maybe get like Mickey on the phone also to help out with that question. But I don't think I could answer it adequately right now. I'd just be fumbling around. But so why don't we do that offline if that's possible, Leo?
Definitely. Okay, I'll save that for offline. Mason, sorry if I've mispronounced this, Mermo. I would love to hear on thoughts about canoe gardens as part of the voyages. Will there be an emphasis on Hawaiian agriculture and canoe gardens during Hawaiian Islands voyage?
That's a great question, and it's you know, my experiences and just talking to get myself connected to where is, I'm in isolation, I'm sitting in this house, and but I need to know what's going on. One of the big issues is this kind of fear that older high school students have of just the recognition of how unsustainable their home is, and you know, seeing things collapse so quick and there's no controls, and that issue of sustainability is floating up to the top, and it's always been there. Well, that's not true, but we've always talked about it, but we're not. And so I say that because one of the things we're hoping is that our voyaging canoes and its crews are going to carry really innovative and almost revolutionary ideas. And so growing food in a saltwater environment, it would be such a cool thing to do. And just because just having that story be a part of the voyage, it helps it reflect back to the larger story about global food sovereignty, the issue, and it drives it back to population. In the next 2.5 decades, we'll go from 8 to 11 billion. How are you going to feed them? And so I think that this moment in time and emergence, there may not be clear direction, but man, there's going to be some clear questions. We may not know exactly where to go and how to go, but we're going to know what does not work from the past. And so I think having positive kinds of projects that could go and do that kind of salt water tolerant plants that could be grown at sea during the statewide sale, during the Hawaiian Island sale, or around the world, should be part of the curriculum of dreams. We don't know how to do it. Let's figure it out. That's why Hokulea was constructed. And so I love the idea and the question. And again, we know what we want to do. So help us figure out the how to do that. But let's do it, because I think that's what we're supposed to do. So that's my answer. Anyway, Bruce, what do you think?
No, I think it's a great idea. But I think you're right, Jake. It's that's something that would be headed by a group that kind of has the again, it's all about skill set, right? So you're not going to see us guys putting together the guardians and stuff like that, because we got so much. Like I said, the whole voyage prep and putting it together and the training is so aggressive from our end. But I think it's a great concept, and definitely a part of the voyaging. So if we could do it, if we could put our heads together and figure out how to put that together, that'd be awesome.
All right. Sounds like we got a lot of volunteers to do some pretty epic projects coming up.
Wow.
Sorry, moped outside my window. Okay, this one might be a little bit more. It was mentioned in the beginning about building community. This is from Partner. Due to COVID-19 and inability to build Pilina with each other as crew members, how do you folks see that fluctuating the schedule for the immediate future in building community to prep us as well as the La Hui for future voyages? It's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I should take that back, because I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that we build communities. We don't. We have the privilege to be invited into them. And it's my belief that Hawaii is extraordinarily special. It's my belief that Hawaii's understood that at the community level that in many ways we've been going on the wrong direction. And so it's just been validated. And I think one of the great privileges for us is to if we are invited into the communities and we have the privilege to come, then I think our job is to just be connecting bridges from communities to communities. And that's essentially what the Hawaiian Island Sail is. It's focusing primarily on the school communities, as that web of schools and connective, and finding the great navigators that have been, we all know our great heroes that have been working so hard for their whole lives to protect what they love about Hawaii. And they just need, I think, to be supported, and two, to allow us to share their story, and three, they become a part of this, what we're viewing as the world's great navigators. And they're in every single one of our communities and doing amazing work. So I apologize for that, suggesting that we're going to build communities. What we're going to do is just be a part of the movement that people are already doing that. And I think that what we're looking for is common amongst these communities is the culture of kindness, that those values of caring for what you love is common amongst these communities. And so we just want to be a part of it, inspired by it, be educated by it, and share it. And so, and I really, really believe that the world needs Hawaii now more than ever. And I think Lacey was absolutely correct that we are this, in his mind, lack of a better word, laboratory, and we are the school. And so I think that the vital importance of going to our communities first for 8 months before we go anywhere else is crucial. And so that we And so I'll leave it. That's my kind of rough answer. And so building better communities is going to be a process of learning that we're going to need to learn from. And our job is to help that be successful. But I don't know how you do that without the engagement, without the connection, without being there. So thank you for the question. I think it's chronically going to be always ongoing, and it's perpetual. And we just have this moment in time to do our part.
Okay. Yeah, and folks, if you're getting the live answers, awesome. I'm just doing some really short summary answers, but we will have the track of the Q&A later. There are quite a few between my texts and emails and chats and the Q&A questions around, or real excitement around, the education plan in many different respects, both in supporting educational programming, developing curriculum, engaging students in schools. Christian Kealoha Ole Phillips had a question: will our Ohana Ba'a through Hawaiian Islands play roles during the Hawaii chain education leg? That's one education related question, and maybe I'll just throw in, I don't know, Nainoa, if those are for a later education series. I know that's way down the line, but maybe you can answer for now for some education folks.
Ohana Ba'a is crucial. We see education having three giant regions. One is home in Hawaii, one is Pacific, and one is the earth. But the center is Hawaii. Everything emanates from here. It's the 45 years of legacy that trained us to pay attention to values, and that's what we carry. Ohana Ba'a is a crucial organization to be able to sustain, because what we don't want to do is have a whole series of 42 months, or even more than that. It's going to be 5 years, 60 months of just events that two canoes will go to, they'll arrive and they'll leave. The real task before us is after the events. It's not how people feel when we arrive, it's how do they feel when we leave. And part of that feeling should be that there is something sustained, and that will be able to carry the ideals, the principles, the promises, the values of an event, a voyaging event, and it's embedded in the communities. And at the top of the list is Ohana Ba'a. And so we don't have it all figured out. And this is really the dilemma we're in right now. We are a skeleton. And so this is not, I'm not trying to make an excuse for incompetence. I'm just saying that we have a small staff working 24/7 essentially. And so this is, it goes back to when I get this kind of question that is really essentially strategically important. It's core to fulfillment of mission, and know at the same time that internally we can't handle it. It's got to be handed off. And I don't know a better community in Ohana Ba'a to ask for the help. And so we are in the process right now, just trying to get ourselves centered, get ourselves balanced, get ourselves our feet on the ground with all this change. And then once we feel that we're focused enough to go and ask for help, and have it structured enough that our questions are going to be understood and answerable, then this issue of community building really is this requirement of engagement. And Ohana Ba'a is crucial to that. So the answer is yes. At the same time, we're working on it. We're not there yet, and but we're working on it, and we're focused on it. But because there's no other organization like it in the world. There's no other organization that have that kind of capacity in the world, and its legacy, when you add up the people and the miles and the places and the stories, it's almost infinite. So it's a crucial tap in that we have to make. and I think we're close, but we're really not there yet. COVID-19 kind of ran us over like a storm and made us put our sails down, tie it to the deck, and wait. And so, but that crack of blue is going to come on the western horizon. It's going to show that the storm's going to leave, and we need to be prepared to put the rig back up, and more importantly, know where we're going to go. So we're kind of, I feel that we are still in the storm as an organization, trying to get itself balanced enough to be able to map and plan the strategic kinds of questions that you're asking us to answer, and I'm not fully prepared to do it. All I can say is we're working on it, and Ohana Wā is deeply valued.
Okay, we're just about 10 minutes away from our 2-hour mark, and I'm super impressed that still we have over 100 of you who are
Oh my God.
sticking with us, and I'm going to try and power through some of these questions. Again, we're going to try and answer them one way or another, so thank you for sending them in. Lehua's mom would like to know if get Kama'aina discount for scuba courses with PVS. I'll work on that, Mom. I'll just, I'll ask around. Waimea McKee would like to know if you need to be a water person to sail on Hokulea, and where he can go for crew training.
Waimea. Hey, Bruce, help me with this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been pretty, over the decades, we've been pretty, the message has been the same. You got to get in the ocean. You know, I mean, you're going to be surrounded by water. You're going to live on the ocean. It's a place, it's a world that you're going to have some sense of comfort in, you know. And so with that being said, the more you're around the ocean, the more you spend time in and on the ocean, the more opportunity you have to find that comfort and that confidence. So you don't have to be an ocean person per se. Like, I mean, you're like the guy who never gets off the boat and just fishes and whatever, you know, and stuff like that. But there is that confidence that you want to bring by having been in the ocean. And again, you know, it echoes what Nainoa talked about before about understanding. What you understand, you start reducing fear, and you start building confidence in those areas to deal with them, you know, to deal with them effectively. So yes, that's always been our message. Get in the ocean any way you can. Go surfing, go fishing, go body surfing, go diving. Get in the ocean, because that's going to be your home once we leave the dock. And after the first 24 hours, you don't see land. All you see is horizon. All you see is ocean. So, yes, that's always been our message. Waimea, you rascal, you.
Waimea, how's it? Aloha. I guess if people want to learn, and if they want to work, and if they want to share, there's a place in this massive project for all. If you want to voyage, I would recommend you ought to kind of want to like the ocean. And if you want to voyage, I think I kind of want to recommend you want to be in it. But you don't have to go on the canoes. For instance, like the top 3 volunteers over the ages is my sister, who is Bruce's wife, who without her, we would not be organized and it doesn't work. But she'll get seasick looking at a boat tied to the dock. And if she goes to have dinner on a Chinese restaurant, I don't know what it was called, on a Pier 6. I mean, it's tied to the dock, and it's like 100 feet wide and 500 feet long, and it doesn't move. But she'll get seasick at the Chinese dinner, and she'll have to get off. So she doesn't go, but she's invaluable. So this is a massive, massive project that's going to take 300 crew members, but it's going to take 3,000 people. So there's that simple, caring kind of values is just essentially permission to participate. But for you, Waimea, yeah, look, I know you, Waimea. The ocean is you. It's in you. I've known you since you were 14. It's in you. It's already there. It's not even a question. The training, I do think right now, given the circumstances, it's going to have to be self-discipline. We can give you guidance, but you got to go train on your own. And the more I feel locked up in this house, the more, I'll paddle at night, and I just have this much, much greater appreciation of touching salt water than I ever did, because it was denied. And with this COVID stuff, and so, Waimea, it's who you are. It always has been. It always will. Just get ready. You got to get ready. But a lot of it's going to be self-discipline.
Okay, Patrick also asked if we're unable to make a session, will it be posted somewhere for later viewing? I'll just say yes, unless Bruce or Nainoa have another answer, in which case I defer. And we will find out where that is and make that known as soon as we find out where that is.
The answer is yes, and that was the intent of doing this, to have the record as part of a library of learning. Yes. I don't know how, and I don't care, but because other people know how to do that.
All right, don't worry, we're on it. I'm hopping from the Q&As briefly over to the chat where people have been asking questions. Billy Richards, maybe premature, any consideration to including Polynesian outliers in the Pac Rim voyage? Kapinga Marangi, Tokelau, Taumako, etc.
Yes, it's a, we're going to try to, I think that it's really a relationship between the impact of the Pacific Rim and the impact on Pacific Islanders. And so the Pacific Islands part of the voyage is really a crucial piece to see really what the impact is from pollution from the big economies and the overfishing and the mining and all that kind of stuff. And so that voice is really important, and getting to, and I think it's twofold to Billy's question. It's important for us to be able to create voice for those who don't have one. I mean, there's 25,000 islands in Oceania, and it's only 10 million people. It's still probably a very, very high percentage of humanity that has no understanding of a Pacific Island or the people or their culture. But the Pacific Islanders are like the Alaskans, right? They nothing to do with climate change, but they're the ones going to suffer the most first. So it's crucial that we make this connection to learn from them. To be able to tell their story and have our ability to connect that. And on the selfish side, May 1st, 2026, this day, 6 years from now, Hokulea will be 50 years old. And I see that connection is vital to the legacy of Hokulea. And but we're having challenges of making question like, do we try Chile by tacking south against southerly winds? Are we going to go see the Aborigines in Australia, which may knock out Kapinga Marangi, and it may knock out some of the islands that you raised because it's too far upwind to the east? What it may raise is saying that if these islands are vital, it may require even another voyage where you could take something like Hikianalia that has power and it has range, and that could do it where Hokulea cannot. And so we are looking at and I'll call them boundaries. We got two big boundaries. One is the direction of the winds. The other is the increased velocity, the increased frequency, and the increased days of dangerous days to tropical cyclones. I mean, there was a tropical cyclone that just started in just the other day, still in April, in the Eastern Pacific. So we are more and more worried about the safety side but clamping down on the boundaries of how much we can sail where. This sail plan, this 42 months, is based on hurricane avoidance. And so the ability to just, it feels like it's starting to restrict the ability for Hokulea that has no power to be able to extend too far outside those boundaries. It's just too scary. But the question would be, how do we still reach them in other ways? That's why I think Hikianalia, because we're solving the power problem, is got much more possibility and capacity. Right now, some of those islands that were mentioned by Billy, we are planning to go to some of the, and there's varied sail plans. The big question is whether we are going to go to Australia or not. And because if we don't go to Australia, then from New Zealand, we go straight north to Fiji. And then those islands are more acceptable, accessible. So we're wrestling with that and trying to figure out what's strategically the best places to go to. So right now, depending on the sail plan, some of those islands will meet, some of them will not, given this sail plan.
All right. Kelly and Rex said, Lehua, please turn on your camera. Hi, everybody. Okay, we're winding into 2 minutes to go, and I'm feeling like that's probably going to be a good stop time. We've been running for about 2 hours, just so you know, you guys can go use the bathroom eventually, maybe sometime, and probably, make dinner, all that kind of stuff. How many more questions are you feeling like going through? And then we'll pull together the rest of them to work on them offline.
You asking me and Bruce?
Yeah, sorry, there's a bunch more. So
Right. I got to pull out, yeah. I got to get some things done before it gets dark over here. So I'm gonna have to pull out at this point. But yeah, awesome engagement. I think we're gonna have to do it offline, I guess, unless you want to sit here for another 3 hours.
Okay, maybe.
I cannot. I made a promise to build a treehouse today, so it's getting dark, and so I don't want to be disrespectful to everybody called it. I want to be thankful and grateful that
Right.
hung in there, but I don't want to be disrespectful to my son and my daughter either. So I made a promise, and I am going to go, but we'll try our best to answer the questions. But Lehua, you and Sonia can stay on if you want.
Thanks, Nainoa. Right under the bus. No, I think that's a good time. Sonia and I will continue to work on the questions. And just last reminders, yes, Tuesday, Friday, if you're not already registered, send your info. We can send you the invite. I think that's all I have. And we will work on where you can find the information, the mystical portal. We will talk to Nainoa about what a portal is and where to find maybe recordings of these things for folks who have missed it. Mahalo nui. Any last words, Nainoa, Bruce?
Yeah, I just want to say mahalo nui. What an amazing first go at it. I think this is great. The participation is outstanding. And yeah, we'll see you guys at the next go round, Monday. Hey.
Oh, Tuesday. Tuesday.
Tuesday. Raja. Okay, Tuesday, Friday. Anyway, aloha, you guys. Appreciate. Stay safe.
Tuesday is going to be great, guys, if you can make it. And again, I'm just echoing Bruce. Thank you, mahalo nui. And we will talk to you soon. And but yeah, I mean, we can't succeed at anything without you in this audience. Cannot. So we're very, very grateful. Take care. Stay safe. And we'll see you soon. Aloha.
Okay.
Aloha.
Thank you.